Welcome to YYC Business Speed Dating with Magic Mike. Book your free business video spotlight at YYCBusinessSpeedDating.com.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 13 of Business Speed Dating with MagicMike.com. Today's guest is Michelle Murphy from Michelle Murphy Interior Design. If you need any help with interior design, go to her website, MichelleMurphyDesign.com. Hi, my name is Mike Duffy. I'm author of Brand Sharks, Unstoppable Strategies for Business Leaders. I'm also producer of MupoEntertainment.com's technology show, Don't Call Me for Help. We also have a print magazine and mobile apps for your iPhone and Android to watch our shows. And I'm also the founder of Calgary cybersecurity startup company, DontGetHacked.ca. We take care of your PC and Macs and make sure you've got a backup and recovery plan for your business data. Welcome to YYC Business Speed Dating with Magic Mike. That's me. My guest today on Business Speed Dating is fellow Calgarian Michelle Murphy. It's Michelle Murphy, right? Perfect. I said that right. Michelle, look at the camera and explain exactly what you do for your business.
Sure. So I'm an interior designer. My business is Michelle Murphy Interior Design. I offer residential and commercial interior design services to local Calgarians as well as the surrounding areas. And I also offer virtual services online to anywhere in North America. So kind of opening my doors to as many people as I can. Try to offer a philosophy of no project is too small. So I take on clients with any sort of design needs, anything from a color consultation to a full renovation.
So who exactly is your ideal client type? Like the best referral for Michelle Murphy?
Sure. I'd say I have two. I'd say first-time home buyers.
Okay.
Just because I really like connecting with people that are, moving into their first place and need that support that they might not be able to get otherwise. And my other ideal client would be just busy professionals. I know that's kind of vague, but just people that don't have the time is really who I want to be able to support. So, hey, that kitchen renovation you've been dying to do for 5 years and you just haven't found the time to do it. Let me be there. Let me be the one to support you and help you manage the project.
So is it best for people to bring you in first and then you can help them find contractors, or?
I work either way.
Okay.
I'm happy to recommend various contractors if they don't know who to use.
Okay.
If I am brought in first. If the contractor is brought in first, I'm happy to jump in later as well.
I think in my position, I'm like, I have no, because I'm really just looking on Kijiji or word of mouth referrals, right? I don't know. I'm a homeowner, not first time, but
yeah, absolutely.
I think I used, when we sold our condo, it was like, hey, Randy Gallant, who do I use for painting and carpet? Because I'm like, I have clients who do that type of stuff. But then, of course, you're like, how do
I know?
Give me some professional tips here, and then I'll call around. Okay, perfect. Michelle, what's your most favorite part of your job?
My most favorite part is just helping people, being able to guide somebody in the right direction or support them on somewhere that really is a struggle for them. Just makes me so happy, being able to transform their space, whether that's, making it more beautiful for them, a space they've been struggling with for a while, or even just functional. An outdated older kitchen that just doesn't work for you can really drastically change how you use the space if you just tweak it and make it work for you and your family. So sort of just that support I can give makes me so happy.
Especially when people hate things, and then I'm like, sure that there's like trauma or dissatisfaction.
Absolutely.
And then you're like, I don't like my kitchen.
Absolutely.
They're probably gonna be
so much you can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know, like, when we moved into our house, of course we had like a designer and architect and all that stuff, and there's certain things we're like, oh, this is going to be cool, and then there's other things you completely miss, like there's still not enough electrical outlets. Why?
Those little details,
like in hallways, I didn't understand why. It's like, I know for if you've read, I don't know if you've run into this, but living room lights, we wanted wall sconces, and we were told that's not building code in Canada. And I'm like, why not? They're like, oh, you're supposed to have plug-in lamps that are controlled by a light switch. And I'm like, I've lived in Canada my whole life, never understood that.
Yeah,
I've dealt with it before, but in home in condos or apartments we've rented, we've always just like taped that light switch.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can just cook. And I'm like, my wife's like, no, I want like wall sconces and a dimmer in the living room. And everybody just like, they did it.
Yeah.
But it was like really forcing. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I
to
want,
get them
just because I
to-
thought, oh, well, it'd be nice to have
Different-
various levels of lighting because we've got our
Create
living
that ambiance,
our
right?
living room is like, my wife calls it a fishbowl, but she wanted it that way because she's got so many plants.
Right.
So we wanted to be able to have, we've got like 4 big, our living room is literally all windows on two sides,
Awesome.
right?
Yeah.
It is. And we're like, okay, well, that's great for the daytime. And then in winter, if you want to spend time in that room, you want proper lights. Right. So we're like, okay, we can always add lamps in, but we find that 3 walls just works perfect. And then for watching a movie, it's on the dimmer. It's like, am I the only person? And we were told during the design that we were very difficult to deal with. And I was like, you guys build $1 million homes, and the $300,001 one we're too difficult. And then when I talked to other clients, they're like, that's why people take 10 years to build a house, and you guys did it in a year.
I suppose, yeah.
And I was like, well, I was like, okay. But we have like, of course, I didn't know you at that time. And we had a designer. She's like, well, try. I'm like, I just want to maximize the space, right? So I'm like, if we're gonna do closets, I want to have like full deep closets, walk-in closet, like,
space well, right?
I said they wanted stairs in the middle of the house. And then I was like, perfect, but I want underneath the stairs to be a closet.
Nice, yeah.
Why would you want to do that? Just like maximize the space. It's bungalow. Find a home builder to build a bungalow, challenging, right? Because they want tall, big, elaborate houses. And I'm like, if you do the 2 fully developed basement, just 2 floors, 1,200 square feet, should be plenty. Because then you can squeeze as many bathrooms in as you want. And I'm like, yay, we've got lots of bathrooms for guests. But then again, there's just more. So the design. So I'm like, I appreciate designers because they help. There is, right? And then of course there's still stuff we missed.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's
so it's like, okay, I'll upgrade this myself. And then I'm like, okay, and I'm gonna have to do countertop.
Lifestyle changes, right? And
then,
now I need this.
Well, then I wish I would have been told to go with a different type of like kitchen, the cabinets.
Oh yeah.
Because we ended up with those cabinets. I'm assuming they put some type of plastic laminate on them.
Okay.
Well, guess what happens to those cabinets next to the stove? Everything starts melting, right? Yeah. And it's like, why weren't we told that? Because if I knew that was possible, that thing, I would have been with just like solid. We didn't want any like cabinets with like designs in them for like cleaning. We just wanted flat. Yeah. And then, that wood grain looks cool, not realizing it's just a little plastic laminate, and you're gonna have to redo something at some time, right? And it's like,
in advance.
Yeah, but of course, I'm like, the designer was good, but not maybe knowledgeable in that particular furniture issue or whatever we call it.
Yeah.
Because as when you become an adult, you get, cars and homes and stuff, and everything has a different level of maintenance. For sure. And then you're never really sure if that level of maintenance is acceptable until you have to experience it. You're like, why did I do that? Absolutely. It looked cool. It looks nice, but then, not everything pretty. Not everything that looks nice is good. Like my Jeep caught on fire and tried to kill me. So, I know it's just like, so it's just like, I like the design, but it just did not agree with me. So, so currently I know you do the, what's your service area? Like you said, you're doing remote consults now. So I'm assuming you can do that for anybody realistically worldwide, as long as you get along with them, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I offer services in Calgary, surrounding areas, and then pretty much anywhere online. It's pretty much stuck with North America. Just for time wise.
Yeah. It's like I get the occasional call from Europe. Totally, a lot of calls from Texas, Florida. Yeah. But they're people who've seen me on social and whatever. They're like, hey, I'll use you because you know this person. I'm like, perfect, right? So exactly. So for physical services, like you do a lot of physical consults, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'd say probably 75.
Okay, it's still up there. I think I think it shifted after like this year for sure. Like everybody wants me on site. Yeah. As opposed to remote. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm good. I'm good getting out of the house and fitting in my errands and doing all that stuff at the same time, right? So exactly. How long have you been in interior design?
So I've been in the industry just over 10 years.
Oh wow, okay.
And I've had my own business. It'll be 5 this year.
5. Yeah. Okay. So you got started before COVID.
Yeah.
That probably changed things a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, it definitely opened up a lot more of the virtual opportunities.
Or forced us into it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Kind of that force.
I don't think we chose it, but I'm like, actually,
it
just became more accepting.
Yeah.
But that's great because clients are to it.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it kind of pushed that a little bit more. It's been around for a little while, but it's definitely not something a lot of people were taking advantage of, I think. Until they kind of had
it's like when I talk to people about, we'll get into the paperwork thing where they were completely paperwork before and now they're completely virtual.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, because I'm still hybrid, but I'll do it, each client I deal with is different. So I got to roll with that. Okay, that was really my next question then. So how much of your workflow is electronic versus paperwork still?
I'd say probably like 95% is virtual.
Okay.
Are
you doing like
just
because I think with designers and engineers, like everything they've been using like AutoCAD or drawing software, whatever word we're using, they've been using they've been using computer software for years.
Yeah, right? I was one of the last sort of people to graduate. Like I did learn hand drafting, so I had both.
Okay,
so I learned hand drafting as well as AutoCAD, and I knew going into it that I probably wouldn't really need the hand drafting. I knew it was already pretty phased out at that point.
Okay.
But I liked it even just for building like my sketching and it makes you think differently.
Yeah.
Sense, right? So I kind of liked taking advantage of the program that had that option.
Yeah.
It was actually like a struggle when I was trying to find a university. A lot of them had already got rid of that.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Okay.
Digital.
Well,
yeah.
I know my university was like 2000, 2003. So we're still using floppy disks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, it's way different. We're like big, like, and then at the end of the day, when you're trying to describe something, I'm like, do you want a handwritten note?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to whip up something on the computer to show you, right? Like, because of course I've learned that some people everything's paper based. Like my guest last week, she's like, I don't want to use an electronic calendar. It's all day timer. I'm like, you sound like my wife. Okay. So now that's the over 40 crowd, usually. Right?
Usually.
Right. Yeah. And I'm in that crowd, but of course I try to, not that I try to use stuff. It's just like, I need to know how everything works.
For sure.
It's because every client is different. And I like documenting your workflow if you have problems. Yeah. So it's like, okay, what are you doing? What do you have running into? I was like, okay, let's, try this and this and this to be a little bit different.
It's easier, I find, to collaborate with clients and things, right? Like most stuff is just easier if it's all digital, right?
Yeah. Well, because I just, do they prefer emails or texting? Everybody's almost on texting. So I'm like, in my CRM, I'm like, okay, this person only responds to phone calls, no emails, maybe a Christmas card in the mail. And it's just like, okay.
And like you said too, it's definitely that age gap, different sort of areas where I see the change. It's like, people under 40 are texting, emails, and then people over 40 are phone calls, emails. Like they don't really like the texting as much and stuff like that.
Well, no, I had somebody yesterday say, "Could you stop texting me?" And it's like, I sent you one.
Yeah.
And then like, okay. Right. She's like, call me, it's easier. And it's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, don't make a note.
Right? Yeah.
Because once you get that feedback, you're like, okay, I'm gonna roll with that. That's fine. Okay, Michelle. So since we know everything's electronic, do you run into technology issues from time to time?
Sometimes. Okay. Yes. I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, I am having a problem with my AutoCAD right now. So, sometimes happens. But most of the time in this day and age when we have Google, I can usually figure it out. Or worst case, I'm like, hey, to my husband or dad, because they both are a bit more tech.
Okay.
My dad was in IT for years.
Okay.
So he definitely knows a bit about what's going on. But usually I'm okay.
Okay.
But sometimes some trickier things come up, and you gotta see if Google can support you.
So good. Drop in the Google word. So I'm assuming you're trying to do it yourself fixes, or find some videos on YouTube before you then start bugging the partner in the that.
Yes.
So, yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, that's the end of my interview questions, really. So awesome. My question, so if anybody's on the fence about hiring a designer, what would you say to them?
I'd say, I think what I would kind of start with is, what are they looking to do?
Okay.
So, for example, are you looking to do more of a DIY renovation and you just need some guidance in the right direction? Or are you really just too swamped to even think about a project, but it needs to get done and you just aren't really sure where to turn? Because I say there's really a benefit for everyone to even just chat with a designer.
Okay.
So even if I'm not the right fit, or I'm just not in your budget or whatever it might be, let's just have a discovery call. Let me see if I can be the one to support you. I have a lot of clients too that just book a consultation. I'll come in for 2 hours and then do my brain.
Okay.
So, hey, we've been thinking about doing this reno. Can you answer questions? Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Okay.
And even if they're not moving forward with something, that's okay.
Perfect. Okay.
If I can help them for 2 hours.
I think we're all kind of in that consultancy role where they're just like,
Exactly.
well, I'm going to ask you some questions and then try to do myself for 6 months. And then I need to
then
go back.
let me know when you have trouble.
It happens, right? Because people are like, oh, well, this should be straightforward and easy. I'm like, go for it.
Yeah. Let me know.
Because
when there's a problem.
I tell people I really want them to, yes, I'll solve all your issues.
Absolutely.
However, I want you to learn stuff because the more you learn it, you understand maybe how smart I am. It's like, no, because they'll realize that I'm trying to get them. I know how to do it efficiently and within budget, because the problem is I know, well, hey, I'm just dealing with computers and people think things cost a couple $100 when it's going to cost $1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to a customer yesterday who just finished a restaurant renovation. They started out with a budget of $60,000.
Yeah.
They spent $300,000 because they're like, the stonework costs money. And then he's like, well, we need all new TVs and then all brand new, just like that. But he's like, well, whatever, I'll just make it back. And he's like, oh, and then I hired the same company to come and renovate my house. So I'm like, so you built rapport, and they probably gave you ideas that you didn't think of. And then, of course, if they're really good at sales, it's just like, oh, we can finance this for you.
Yeah, we can make this work.
We know a banker to call. It's just it's how everybody's job ends up being, right? Of course, it's not about the money, but again, it's like, okay, well, if people trust you, no one trusts you.
That relationship, and
they'll give you everything. So it's like that. And of course, you want clients that are easy, low friction, of course, but you got to build rapport. So if there are referrals from somebody else, at least there's a little bit of a trust factor. So if anybody's looking at picking your brain on some design stuff, what's the best way to find you?
You can find me either my website, which is just mmid.ca.
Okay.
You can find me on social media, which is Michelle Murphy Design, pretty much across the board on all social media. Reach out and I'd be happy to.
Okay. So I'm just going to drop an end card at the end with your name and website and all that type of stuff, and then we'll just see who ends up seeing be distributed on my socials, your socials, and then on the mupoentertainment.com website. And we're new, like 2-3 years in. So we're just, but the event I have I got 2 events in July. I got Texas and I got New Jersey. The New Jersey event is for Mupo, and we're filming for Lionsgate on Netflix.
Oh, very cool.
So I'm like practicing my on-screen camera appearance, right? So hence, thanks for joining me. So thanks Michelle for joining me on YYC Business Speed Dating with Magic Mike. Bye.
Thanks for watching Season 2, Episode 13 of Business Speed Dating with MagicMike.com. Today's guest, Michelle Murphy, is an interior designer here in Calgary who does great work. Check out her website, MichelleMurphyDesign.com.